Okay, so this video lesson has to do with calculus prep, and this particular one is for factoring. So video lesson for Calc Prep 2 factoring. Just a quick review of factoring. Remember that if you have repeated terms, you can do a U substitution. I'm not actually going to do it on number 1. I'm going to show you maybe how you can do it without. I noticed that this really is almost like a binomial, and within each term there are other terms, but I see an x minus 1 repeated. Now I can only take out one of these x minus 1 because the first term only has 1. So this is part of my GCF, of my factoring out. Then I also look and I notice that they both have an x plus 2. So the GCF is x minus 1, x plus 2, and it will do you no good to multiply those out. So don't do that because we're working on factoring. Alright, now when I factor out x minus 1 from the first term, that's gone, and I factored out one of the x plus 2's, so I have an x plus 2 left. Alright, now look at the next one. We have a minus, and then I have to see what I have left of the second group. When I factor out x minus 1, x plus 2, there's an x minus 1 left, and I'm putting this one in parentheses because it's following a minus sign. Okay, so let's see what we have left. We have x minus 1, x plus 2, and then I have x plus 2 minus x plus 1. And then let's clean that up just a little bit further. We have x plus 2. And when I look at this, the x's cancel and I'm left with 3. So just convention says if you have a number, put it in front. And so this would be the factored form. If at any point you multiply out, you could eventually get to this, but you're going to do a lot of extra work, and sometimes you're going to get something so messy that you don't know how to factor. Okay, so it's good that you have repeated terms. You want that. All right, now looking at number 2, I notice that I have a this x here, but it's not nice and neat trinomial, but we're going to make that happen. Now first off, there is a 3, a 4, and a 1, so the GCF is only going to contain x, and the way you decide which power, we've done this before, but I know not everybody got it, so we're going to review it. Look at the lowest power. That right there is your GCF. Okay, so now I know I have a 3 left, and when looking at when you factor out x to the negative 1/2, that's easy. You factored out the whole thing, so let's move on to the next term. Plus 4. Now when determining what the power should be, remember we factored out, and factoring out is like dividing out, and when you divide, you subtract the exponent. So what is 1/2 minus negative 1/2, which is really like 1/2 plus 1/2. That's a 1. Okay, and then the last one, you may guess what it is, but let's go through the motions. When I factor out x to the negative 1/2, I'm dividing out, so I need to do 3/2 minus 1/2, which is 4/2, or 2. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite this, but with the x squared term first, because that's how we usually see trinomials. So then I'm going to have x to the negative 1/2, and then my two factors here are going to be x plus 1, x plus 3. And this is okay for a final answer. Alright, what also is maybe just a little bit better is to go ahead and deal with that negative exponent. If you remember, that causes x to the 1/2 to go to the denominator, and you don't keep the negative. Okay, so either one of these answers would be fine. Really, at this point, either one is fine. Okay, so let's jump to number 6. You're going to get to do 3, 4, and 5 in class. Let's jump to number 6. Okay, so this differs for 2 reasons. One, it's an equation, so we're actually solving for x. This is the first one on this page that's like this. It looks like there's just a few more on the back that you have to solve for x. But also, I'm going to use a u substitution on this. So let me remind you of how to do that. You need to let u be something that's useful. Okay, that's not why we use u, but it's a nice way to remember it. Okay, if I let u be e to the power of x, then I can see that e to the 2x would be u squared, and then this would be minus 8u, then plus 15 equals 0. So now I have an easy trinomial I can factor. This is going to factor into u minus 3 and u minus 5. So then my solutions for u would be 3 and 5. And we are not done because there is not a single u in my original problem. So I need to plug u back in. Anytime you do this u substitution, you do it once to set the problem up, and then you do it again to actually solve for x. Alright, now remember that the way you solve for this is by taking natural log of both sides. Natural log of e to the x is x, and natural log of 3 is just natural log of 3. So here's one solution. And then very similar over here, I get x equals natural log of 5. Now, if one of these numbers had ended up being negative, taking natural log, we would exclude that. That would have been a extraneous solution. Okay, so hopefully that gets your mind thinking about factoring a little bit. You're going to finish the rest of this worksheet in class. So definitely bring your questions to class, and there might be some that look a little bit different to you that you can already tell, so you can ask me about that at the beginning of class tomorrow.